Meanwhile, the Department of Energy has gazetted a new determination for the Energy Regulation Act, allowing embattled power utility Eskom to source over 11,000 megawatts of power from independent power producers. The new determination allows Eskom to tap into renewable gas and coal producers as the country faces one of its worst years for load shedding on record. For more on this, I'm joined by Transform RSA President and energy expert Adil Nchabeleng. Adil, good evening, and thank you very much for your time tonight. If you look at the capacity breakdown, 6,800 megawatts from renewable wind and solar sources, and 3,000 megawatts from gas sources, 1,500 megawatts from coal, and 513 megawatts from the photovoltaic source, in other words, from storage. So all in all, over 11,000 megawatts that would be procured. Is this the solution to provide for energy capacity and other ancillary services that Eskom requires at this point?
At this point, most definitely, it is an additional capacity which is much more needed. The most important thing now is the dispatchability of this power. It must be able to go into the grid and be able to deliver to the customer. So in terms of the determination, it's a perfect determination. We welcome it. If you could remember, it has a historical, sort of a process. The milestone started when, Minister Khadebe gazetted the IRP, which was 2018, and in 2018, it was opened up to say there must be a comment in terms of the gazetted IRP. At the time, there was a huge issues against the particular IRP which was presented. And then we all agreed in 2018, we all submitted our inputs, and the 2019 IRP came out, which declared that there will be now additional power capacity added into the grid, and it came out in this whole particular determination plan, whereby, solar and wind was given a major allocation, gas was given an allocation, nuclear was given an allocation, coal as well was allocated as well. So the current plan is the development of what has already been agreed with on all stakeholders. The most important thing now is how to implement it and to make sure that it benefits South Africans, not only of what happened. Bid window 1 up to 4 was mostly international companies that bidded for this particular project. In this time around, we want to see South African participation.
Preferred bidders should demonstrate, and I'm going to get into dispatchable facilities in a moment, but preferred bidders should first demonstrate the ability to generate 50 megawatts up to 450. Is that a good range? What does it mean?
Look, at this rate, it is quite a good range to put as a prerequisite, but at the same time, we know power is not something that we are all born with. Not everybody has an Eskom running in their backyard. So to make certain recommendations that you must already be doing a particular generation capacity, you're going to close out a lot of new entrants, which means the already participated bid window 1 up to 4 players, which is now coming into bid window 5, will be the preferred players who have already been awarded projects. This should be a greenfields project. This should be a project whereby people say, we have the capacity, we can demonstrate the capacity, and should be in a position to do so. 50 megawatts is a basic requirement. It doesn't say if you don't have it, you cannot participate in the tender. That just says that we are going to start off at the 50 megawatts capacity of power generation, and then it will be scaled up. And you can scale it up to any required amount, whether it is meeting the 6,800 or whether it is to meeting 100 or 1,000. It is up to the bidder at the stage.
Yeah, I suspected that you would say it might be prohibitive to their new entrants. What does it say about, the program design in terms of skills development and transformation? Are they merely paying lip service to that, or is there seriousness about that?
Look, government has never been serious about skills development and capacity development. We've known for generations now that whatever the policy says, usually it is just to rubber stamp a process. In this case, we've seen it with bid window 1 up to 4, where the program was completely fraught with a lot of foreigner interest, foreigner skills, as well as labor on the project, where they even brought people as far as Germany, as well as Spain, to become laborers and particularly installers on this project. This current bid window 5, we're saying that it cannot not be South Africans. It has to be South Africans as the priority. The project must be awarded in a majority to South Africans. In any way, the funding of this project are going to come from South Africa. So government has a far much more responsibility now to demonstrate its commitment on making South Africa a priority and putting South Africans first, in this case, of the particular bid itself.
Now, this, of course, is going to be based on the requirements of the system operator themselves, but they've also requested that this particular bid process be done via the preferential procurement policy framework, which means there'll be a lot of deviations as far as the Department of Public Enterprise is concerned and competition is concerned. What's your feeling on that?
The deviations in this case should apply to the current stringent prerequisites request, things like your EIA requirements, things like your statutory, studies that should be done. We all know that some of these power projects, if you were to wait for 3-4 years for an EIA to be approved, you're not going to be qualifying. So there are certain technical requirements that actually should be waived and should be fast-tracked in this case in order to meet the current bid window 5 requirement. But if they're going to make them stringent application, and following the PFMA is fine, it's fantastic, and it should be actually applied. But we know that a lot of loopholes exist within the PFMA, where majority of the PFMA programs never address the real issues with regards to, one, accountability, issues of economic transformation, issues of ensuring that monies are paid to the people that are due to, and again, the issues of putting priority on black economic empowerment, where the charter speaks specifically of the codes of what must be done. And this codes usually gets highly flawed and highly flaunted when it comes to implementation. So we are there now as really stakeholders. We are there now as the hawks who are going to be looking at this whole program as it develops and actually gets implemented. And we're going to be monitoring every process of the step of the way. If there is any flaunting of the rules, if there's any corruption in it, if there's any favoritism on the basis that people are given preference where it's not even due and they cannot even qualify to demonstrate the capacity, we're going to take up issues with it. This is a South African program, 11,000 megawatts in terms of power procurement is one of the highest ever done in South Africa since the last 40 years or so. There's never been such a capacity in terms of energy generation creation throughout the history. So we're saying that it must be really beneficial to the South Africans. It must affect the South African lives. And the program must be fair, must include black people in the majority who have been excluded out of the energy cycle in terms of economic transformation part of it.